Hey guys, Viper here. Just wanted to make a quick little announcement before starting the video that I fucked up. For some reason, the first about 30 minutes of my audio is not recorded. My partner's is. I'm going to do my best in post to simply fill in what was said to the best of my ability. I don't fully know how this happened, but unfortunately it did. And so, if some of the dialogue, like conversations between me and my partner here, don't make sense, that's why. I'll be doing my best though. Good day, everybody. Welcome back to this Season 10 draft analysis video. This is the Season 10 A Division. And today I am joined by our good friend, Mr. Bacchus himself.
Well, good day, everyone. Wow, so much energy. I don't think I can match you, but I'll try my best, at least, right?
Yeah, don't worry. I've got that like whole YouTuber voice. It can be hard to match. Don't worry.
Yeah. So, what do we have here?
So first up, as always, as is new, we will be going with a draft order rather than a ranking order. And first up is, luckily enough, me. I very much was very underprepared for a first pick, but what can you do? So I started out with Iron Valiant being arguably the best Pokemon in our tier drafting system of 19 points. Followed it up with defensive if steel as well as some spike support to help Valiant in its sweeping endeavors. Followed up by Ursaluna, which is my goaded bear breaker.
Such an, such an amazing move, and Ursaluna is probably one of the biggest breaker in the game so far.
With Deoxys defense for a little bit more defense, as well as just a lot of utility, teleport, knockoff, all that kind of jazz. Then Rillaboom and Hawlucha are just a great pairing always, good synergy. Thundurus as my Terra is the big boy though. So our Terra system is new this season. It will allow you to be open Terra with taxation. So it costs a little bit extra points, but you can Terra it. Following up with another Garg and Mousehold for some removal.
Yeah, Donity is an amazing one. If I may, let me just take a little bit of a step back as well, as you were also presenting the rules. Maybe I'll just go over the layout a little bit before we go over every other team. So I'll spend a little bit of time now so that we can go faster for the other presentations. So on the layout, you have like basically the pick order. I mean, we will review the drafts in pick orders, so very easy, I would say. Then I put a KPI because I'm a consultant, so I like doing data analysis. Basically, top six average is basically the number of points used for this. The idea is to define how top stacked is the team, right? So it also is a good indicator whether or not the same months are going to come, whether or not this team is very stable in terms of performance. Then we have a huge sections on any hazards, right? So rocks, spikes, poison spikes, sticky webs. Then removal, you have a spinning move, either rapid spin or motor spin, right? And defog, move that are going to remove everything, including your screens. And then a little bit of utility on the bottom left, so things like knockoff, heals available, screens, and priority moves. And momentum generation, which is something that is so important for me. Basically, how is your team able to gain back momentum? And then you will see basically a few remarks on it. Okay.
Yeah, so it turns out Tidy Up is actually not even a spin move. It's actually a like defog type move as it gets rid of your own
That
hazards,
is
which
true.
is kind of a flaw with my team.
That's my fault, and not everything is going to be perfect, so can see it. Okay, so what do you think about your team?
This bit here is basically just me going over my team, talking about my hazards and the
Yeah,
fact that I don't really have any good removal for my team, which is one of its big flaws, is the fact that I can set hazards very well and very easily, but I don't really have the ability to remove the enemies without also removing my own, as well as things like Hawlucha just doesn't want to bring.
and that's very interesting because part of the way I looked at your team was also through this angle, basically, on how like you had a lot of hazard pressure, but you didn't have a good one. So, what did you trade it with?
Yeah, so I ended up trading out Mousehold for Toad School.
That should help a little bit. Okay, it's a little bit different, but it should help at least. So to summarize, you have great offense, probably one of the most threatening team on the offensive side. You have like the gra yeah, and Holucha with really boom is is a tried combo that's working really well. With all of it has very good coverage. You have like great lead and all of this. Previously, I still think even with Toad Scroll, you have like a little bit of limitations on the hazard removal. You don't really want to run defog on Holucha, so it means that suddenly you have to bring one of your lower tier mon if you want to play the hazard game. And there's yeah, and there's a few weaknesses, fighting Fairy around your team that you can see here and there. I think it's overall good. Uh, from a Terra perspective, I actually believe that Garganacl is a noob trap. It's a great mon in solo, but in draft league, especially with the existence of Covert Cloak, it's definitely not as valuable as other mons. But I think you have just to play around, right? To be fair, most of the time I see Thunderous here coming in with the Terra because the coverage is just so good.
To be perfectly frank, I have
Mm.
like absolutely no idea what on earth was said here, so I'm just cutting parts of the silence out, really. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Anyways, we'll see basically maybe at the end of the season what you think about this one. It would be interesting to hear it. So, how do you tier?
Yeah, so in terms of tiering, I actually think this is like the best team I've ever made, to be perfectly blunt. And I honestly think it's one of the better teams in RCL period, and especially this season. I think it's incredible for this season. So I'm putting it up in A, to be honest.
I, I agree with you. I think I would, for me it's a A team. I don't think I would consider it as a low A team. I think it's a A team. Like you've honestly outdone yourself on the draft. Very, very strong on the offensive side. And what I really like is also it suits your style, sorry. So I think this kind of match can definitely help you. It's also putting pressure on you because now you don't have any excuse. So you need to perform. Yeah.
I'm really been disliking the amount of people who say like, I've got
Yeah, I
Valiant
agree
and
with you.
I need to perform this time. I don't have the excuse of hating my team. And while don't get me wrong, I really like my
It's
team. I think it's really good, but I must say Valiant is kind of
and then it's
disappointing
it's
in
lacking, like the
calcs
one
and like
shot or the
from
KO on a lot of
prep.
mods. I agree. Yeah.
Uh, it just doesn't have the power it needs, and it almost always will want booster speed over anything else.
And you just have to no, you have offensive pressure, you have like hazard, so that's basically the way to go. You have to chip here and there, and then use Iron Valiant to clean at the end. But since you were talking about Nick, should we move to the next one?
Yes, we shall move on. We have, as previously mentioned, Nick, as also known as I Got Your Nosepass, started off his draft in second place with a really good fucking Pokemon. Great Tusk, one of our three 19-point Pokemon, the beast that it is. So he continues. Great start, really weirdly.
I
13-point
agree.
Washtom, 9-point Hisuian Gudra, question mark, 11-point Screamtail, and even 6-point Wo-Chien. By round 5, his team was like dog shit. He had two single point.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like he could have targeted higher valued mon earlier.
So realistically, his team was stupid, and it was around this point where Nick started to realize what the fuck is he. So that's when he started picking up some better boys like Iron Crown as his Terramon for 12, which is good. Volcarona non-Terra, which is still solid. Hisuian Arcanine Terra, which is pretty scary to be honest. So those next 3 points picks of his really brought his draft back into
Yeah, I
something
agree
of
with
use.
you.
Even finishing it off with a little bit more speed with some Mismagius, a defensive Dick, and Toxapex. Torterra is just
Yeah.
here to exist, and same with Regigigas, really. In saying that, Port does have some utility, of course, that's why it's not 1 point like the Gigas.
I mean, his Terra captains are fantastic, to be fair. I think it's definitely, but they're also very offensive, which is good because the rest of his team is quite defensive, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah, talk specs, sorry. And I don't know what Regigigas, if Regigigas is ever gonna see the field of play, but yeah. Okay, so overall, if you look at hazard control and everything, it's very stealth rock stacked, right?
Yeah, for some goddamn reason, he has 4 rockers and no fucking
Yeah.
spikers, dude.
He does only have one hazard removal in Great Tusk, but what a what a hazard remover, right? It's probably one of the best. So
So while it may be a very good hazard removal option, the fact that it's the only hazard removal option is kind of a
yeah,
problem in my opinion. As Great Tusk's
yeah, I
one of
agree
its
with
many
you.
great qualities is the fact that it is quite diverse as a Pokemon. So the issue is if you are forced
Mm.
to bring Rapid Spin on it every single week, you greatly reduce its availability to do whatever it wants, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's kind of the one of the weakness. So basically, we touched upon a little bit the way he drafted. What we can see here is so defensively it's quite good. Offensively, it's a little bit lacking. I mean, very good Terra, but outside of this, it doesn't offer too much in terms of huge wall breaker besides Hisuian Harkanine or setup sweepers. And the team is very spread out, right? It's a little bit for me. It's a little bit difficult to find all the synergies in the different teams, uh, and this type of team is very tricky to pilot. So I hope he will find an identity, and maybe I'm actually fully I'm a fully noob and I don't understand anything about Pokemon. But as of right now, I don't rate this current team very high. Even though I think just a few changes can definitely change the conversation very very fast on this item on this team. So how would you rate this team?
Yeah, so overall, I don't like Nick's team, just full stop. I think it kind of just belongs in D tier.
I mean, we're putting S through D, so basically we have to use everything. I hesitated between C and D, but I also agree with you. I think it's definitely one of the weakest draft as of right now. It doesn't mean he can't shine. It doesn't mean he can't win. I think it's not atrocious. So maybe we should. I don't know. But to be fair, I don't know if there is. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I don't know if there is any team that ranks lower. So I'll have to think. Let's maybe go through the other teams if we need to, readjust a little
All
bit
right,
between.
moving on to our third person of the day, Galactic Greninja, also known as the GOAT himself, Sean. He started off with a very powerful Roaring Moon, and then continued it on with a Terra Walking Wake into Sun Torkoal. I don't know why I say Sun Torkoal like that, but I will. Now, this is already an insane fucking core. But then he made it better by getting the way too cheap Terra Espathra, followed by Tink, Sinistra, and the GOAT Sandy Shocks,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
kind of
Sandy
should have
Shocks
been
is
its
a great
Terra
standalone
user.
Terramon, but I can understand why he went for it. But
Yeah, Sandy Shocks is a really good Terramon on, but yeah. So he can then continued it on with a very odd
yeah,
mon I feel in Overquill. It is quite good. I just don't know how it fits in this team very well. And then another Sun Pokemon in Slitherwing, followed by a double defensive core of Dondozo in Bronzong, followed one by a goaded support mon in Smirgle, although it's probably less goaded in
yeah.
fucking
And what is
singles, but
very
well.
interesting, as you will see, I mean, if you look at the top six average, right? He's 15 out of 16. He's one of the teams that, yeah, that is the most spread out, which is usually a weakness. In that case, not really, because the synergy is very clear. Like this is a Sun team, right? At its core, like this is a Sun team at its core. Like every month functions so well together about this. With that being said, uh, you have to notice that there's like quite a few glaring weaknesses in his draft. Personally, I'm pointing out the Torkoal. Torkoal, who is the soul hazard removal. I say soul because obviously Smeargle can have like as well, can remove like rocks or whatever. But Torkoal being the only hazard removal, it means that, okay, like, do I run Heat Rock? Do I run Heavy Duty Boots? Right? And it really definitely limits a little bit his strength, and this is something that he's going to struggle a little bit. I do believe that as impressive this team is, it can be abused, right? On this side, it can be abused for this one. There's not so many like ground resist, right? Or immunities. He has Bonsong, and that's basically it, right? Uh,
Basically, just said the
okay,
existence of Sinister
yeah,
and
yeah, of course.
Slitherwing also
Mhm.
resisted.
So you know, like those kind of things can bite him in the long run. So what? Yeah. So how do you think it fares against the other teams?
So let me just have a quick look at the team again. Right, so for me, I think
Remember?
Sean's
Yeah, go
team
ahead.
is probably in A. I just am kind of unsure whether I think it's better or worse than my team.
So I don't agree with you on
Oh,
this one. So
really?
we have to rate the team, not the coach. The coach is, I mean, for sure one of the strongest coach we have, probably if not the strongest, right? But we have to imagine someone else has to pilot the team. I think for me it's a B tier because as amazing the synergy is, yes, there are some glaring weaknesses, and it is a difficult team to pilot. So Sean can make it shine. It doesn't mean that he's not going to win the league with it, but as you have it right now, I still believe it's personally it's a B team. It's the weaknesses are too glaring, and maybe we as a tiebreaker you can pull up what Akshi said or what Akshi put. He put Sean at A minus. Okay, shit. Okay, so I personally believe it's a strong B tier, but I'm okay with
So with actually thinking
a.
it's A minus, me
Yeah.
thinking it's A but not entirely sure where, and you
Okay.
saying B,
Okay.
the fact that we're using a bit of a bigger scale, because he basically went from A plus to C, I think is the scale he used. I don't think he used A. I don't think he used S or D. So because of that, with us using a larger scale, I think I'll listen to you and sort of actually and put it in the B tier.
That's for sure. But I also believe that some teams that have like very access to Sen, for example, are going to put a lot of issues for Sean. And a lot of Earthquake abuser, like those are the kind of team that he's going to struggle with. So I have to put this into consideration.
All right, moving on to our fourth person, Helsinki Hydreigon, also known as Chris, is the goat that he is. Now, as fourth pick, he ended up taking our final 19 top tier Pokemon and Palafin, which is always the goat. Followed up, kind of weirdly in my opinion, with Excadrill. Excadrill is a good mon and all. It's just, it does not feel like something
Yeah.
that should go round two. But I mean, steals are always very important, and Excadrill is pretty solid. Followed up by another great mon in Iron Moth, then Hydreigon and Kilowattrel
Hmm.
for that lovely, lovely speed. I do think he could have probably waited on Kilowattrel as well. The other two I think are fine. But then we get two Enamorous
I
Therian
mean, it's
Terra.
this shit
Now this thing I
hurts,
think is
man.
way too low points, but I can kind of see it. It is a
Yeah.
massively powerful threat. And then we get to little bitty
Yeah.
Uxie. And
So
Uxie, I think it's
fortunate
a
for
great
us.
mon. I like where he got it as well. But I feel like his team relies on it a little bit. It's his only knockoffer, it's his only screen support. Yeah. Moving further along, he's packing the bulk
Mhm.
duo of Snorlax and Terra Archelodon, as well as then Hippowdon to get his Excadrill's Sand going. Araquanid for some just general utility and goatness,
Mm.
followed by an actual goat in Go-Goat.
Yeah,
I don't know what bro's
I
doing
agree with
here.
you. Yeah, I have no idea either. So what we can notice is that I mean definitely you have a strong Sand team, right? I mean Excadrill is absolutely amazing here. Palafin is going to be the win condition is almost every match, right? It's going to be so strong. Yeah, they are going to be so strong together. Yeah, he definitely went for it, right? With that being said, if we look a little bit now down the line, in terms of utility, definitely you pointed out that Uxie is going to be critical in our team. There's a lot of things it brings. And the other one is Excadrill, right? it's only hazard removal. And when you have webs, yeah, when you have waves, you don't want to relegate your Excadrill to rapid spinning. Anyways, good pivoting, some good support, but like very concentrated on a very few months. So some of his months are a little bit overloaded, right? And we have to point, but as any ground or sorry sand team, a weakness to ice, and surprisingly in this case a small weakness to rock as well, with both Enamoris, Iron Mouth, Kilowattrel, which can also see the light of day, are quite needed of this, right? So how do you think it's going to fare against your other team? I think this is a
Yeah, so I'm trying to decide whether I think this is B or like
I
top of
put it at
C, to be
B
honest.
personally. I think it's no, it's still good enough, but yeah, I agree with you.
It's definitely worse
Interesting.
than Sean's team, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
But in the matchup, I do believe that actually Chris has the edge in their own matchup.
All right,
Ooh.
next up we have the big man himself, Duskmoon Dragapult, for our 5th place taker, known as Mez. So he started his draft incredibly powerfully with Terra King Gambit, the absolute fucking menace that it is. But then he decided to have 3 B-Div players make the rest of his draft, and it turned out pretty well, I think. They've started off, well, they continued on, I guess, with Lando I and Urshifu Rapid, which are pretty fucking goated 14-point mons back-to-back. Followed up with a really good Hazard Setter and removal in
amazing team.
Glamora, which is super nice.
Yeah.
Rabombi, I definitely think was a little bit too soon, but still really solid overall. And then finally, Bramblegast as a secondary remover. That was 100% way too early. Continuing on from Brambley, we have Cresselia, which I don't know how I feel about
I agree
Cresselia.
with
It's
you.
kind of an odd guy. I mean, I guess it's fine for round 7. Raikou is a really good dude for a round
sure.
10 pick. I really like Raikou. Now, I don't really get Terra Charizard here. I definitely think it should have been the Rabombi. Terra made it just go into, like, it made it go up to 7 points, I believe, making it 25 total. I just think it's better than Charizard. I don't know what Zard is doing here, man. Followed by Ogerpon Cornerstone. Now, I'm shocked Ogre left so long, but, I mean, hey. And then he got a double whammy in Politoed and Kingdra for his final 2 picks to make a really, like, subsidized rain team with Kingdra, Politoed, obviously, then Urshifu, Rapid, and Raikou. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Bramblegas is definitely the odd one out here. And I didn't know about the context, so I had no idea other people picked this team. Because this team is crazy. No, this team is crazy good. It's crazy good. I mean, he had to pay the tax of the King Gambit, right? What was the other option? Like 6 point? He could have terra'd the.
So this is where I was meant to bring up the Terra Charizard thing, not what I did before, but oh
That's
well.
true. And then you have like the
And
off-rain
then, yeah,
team,
here
right?
is also where
So
we discussed a little bit about the pseudo rain team that I mentioned before with, Kingdra, Polito, Raikou, and Urshifu. But for a while, I thought it was just there for bait
yeah,
and
I
that it
could
wouldn't
see
actually
it
come.
coming
But
in. If we look now at the utility, hazards, and everything, I think it's very well spread, right? You have a little bit of everything, including removal. You only have one knockoff users. Am I correct? Did I forget about one?
I don't think so. Urshifu might get
Maybe.
knockoff.
Yeah.
And King Gambit might.
What? How did I miss this one?
Let
Okay,
me
maybe we should add.
just
Yeah.
double check that real
Yeah.
quick.
No, it's okay. Just add them like King Gambit for sure. But how did I miss it? I did it too quickly. Yeah. Perfect.
There we go. I'm pretty sure
Okay.
Urshifu also does, but don't quote me.
Yeah. Uh,
I'm googling intensifies.
yeah. The one strike guy we does, but
I assume they both would, right?
it would make sense.
I actually don't think it does. That's
It does
unfortunate.
not. So today we learned.
Yeah, fair
Right.
enough.
Oh, okay. Oh well. So we have this. We have a lot of momentum
Yep.
and a little bit of speed control and a lot of priority. Amazing offense.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of
Uh,
priority.
I put that it's not that fast.
Y-
And for me, it is a weakness, right? Your fastest mon is Ribombi, which usually is very rarely used, as you know, as a speed, as a revenge killer.
Yeah, it
And then
doesn't
it really
usually.
drops down a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't really bring the
Mm,
power you need it to be a good revenge killer. It's got
yeah.
95 special attack, which is like it's fine, but it's not what you want in your speedster, I feel. It's also why I don't
Yeah.
like Talonflame. It just does not have the attack required a lot of the time, I feel.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Um
But
yeah.
why do I feel targeted?
And
Okay.
then drops down to
So I
like
think
is
yeah.
115, 110,
So
100.
it is
Yeah.
definitely a weakness here. Uh, but does it mean it's the end of the world? Do you think he can survive? How is he
Uh
going to fare against the other team?
yeah. I def do I think I'm trying to decide. I definitely think it's better than Chris's. I'm trying to wonder whether think it's better than Sean's or not. I think in some ways it is, and in others it isn't.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
It this
I
is this is a very difficult team to place, I feel.
I personally put it in A, but I don't think I should have. I think I'm very biased toward the person,
Yeah,
and I really want to
Mez is
encourage him.
quite good.
But I have to, like, we have to put this under the hands of someone else, right? And
Yeah.
think about how this team would fare. And realistically, this is a mid team. It
Yeah.
started amazingly, and there's a few weaknesses that have not been fully put under control. So with that being said, we have to put it in the B tier. I think it's a little bit better than Chris and probably a little bit worse than Spawn.
See,
So
I'm
I think
thinking
it's right
that,
in the
but
middle.
also I'm wondering if I'm underestimating Terrakin Gambit, because Terrakin Gambit's kind of a fucking
It's a
menace.
monster.
Like
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Terra Dark Sucker Punch teams, like in the end game, you can go from losing a game to just sweeping everything at the end with a King Gambit.
yeah. This is a draft league, right? So you have to assume that there will be Will-O-Wisp, there will be substitutes, there will be like those kind of trickery that will definitely put it
That is
to
true.
test. So as a draft mon, I mean, he paid for it, right? It's 18 points. That's
Yeah, he definitely paid for it.
so much. So, and it's
I'm
worth it.
I'm also wondering with this. I kind of forgot this was Rapid Strike for a second. Politoed Kingdra, like he actually can use this as a rain team with Urshifu Rapid to really mess shit up. Like,
That's
could you
true.
imagine a Choice Band or Choice Scarf Urshifu Rapid in the rain?
Yeah, that's amazing, and that's why I'm telling you, he will bring it, maybe.
Yeah,
Especially against a team they want to abuse, let's say Sun, for example.
yeah. That's the funny thing about weather teams is that they're good against other weather teams.
Yeah.
I think I
Okay.
might
So,
actually place this above Sean's.
okay. Okay. I'll follow you on this one.
It was definitely difficult to place, but I think in the end
Mm,
I like it a little bit more than Sean's.
I agree with you.
Yeah, so let's
Next
move
one?
on to the next person. We've got Seattle Supersonics, known as Lance. Now Lance always drafts quite weirdly, in my opinion. He starts off with
Very weirdly.
Terachi
Yeah.
U, which is solid. It's pretty good. For sixth pick, I definitely would have gone with a higher tier, but it's solid enough. And then he proceeds to get both of Chi-Yu's checks, which is good, but you're missing out on a lot of other power by dropping immediately to 12 and then to 7.
I
Um,
think he was inspired by Nick, you know? On the third pick, Nick picked History of
yes,
Gudra, and
they
he was
both
like,
got
I have
Guja's
to pick the
round
Gudra,
3.
right? You know?
Yeah,
And I think they kind of, reeled up each one another, and then
yeah,
let's pick all
absolutely.
the Gudras.
Moving down to then Jirachi, which is a nice solid mon. I have a weird feeling he wanted the Hisuian Gudra, considering he got his steal immediately afterwards, but who knows.
Hmm.
Um, then Terra Serena, I'm wondering how useful the Terra on that thing will be. I kind of think it's just there to fill the Terra role, because we allow 2 captains. I don't think I could ever see it over Terra Chiyu.
Yeah, me neither. Especially since Shio seems such a must bring in every game.
Yeah, exactly right. Because that's basically his only real power. Lycan
Yeah.
Dusk is fairly solid, but also nothing incredible.
Mm.
Gyarados can spiral, as I'm sure it's all happened once with Dragon Dance Moxie's teams. So it can definitely spiral, but I'm also not entirely sure how relevant it will be in over the course of several games. Same
Yeah.
can really be said with Dragonite. It does have
Yeah.
multi-scale for
Mhm.
easier switch-ins. But as you've kind of reminded me a few times, this is a draft league, and most people will carry an ice move on like more than one Pokemon specifically to deal with this.
Yeah, I agree. And then he has like a few slower mods, if we exclude Masquerade, that are going to work really well under Trick Room, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
this is
Iron
actually a
Hands,
pretty solid Trick
Mimikyu,
Room team, I
Porygon 2.
think.
It is, it is, it is. I think this is something that we have to point out as well.
Yeah,
Uh, with that being said, it does have very limited hazard control in general, and
yep,
hazard
only
setting.
Serena.
It doesn't play the game so much. Uh, Good priority, like in terms of, I would say, supporting move. He has quite a few of them, and momentum generation. He has a lot of scary setup, and I think that his main goal in every matchup is to find the one uh, opening to set up one of his many setup sweepers,
Yeah, that's
right?
fair. Um,
Uh, but but you also have to say that this team is slow as fuck. Like this is it's so slow. Like you only have one mon that goes above 100, and that's only 110 I can rock.
yeah, generally speaking, you always want to have a mon that's at least 115 or above. Going with just 110 as your fastest mon is generally not a good idea. And I do understand going more with a slow route with Sticky Web or Trick Room. But even still, you really want that speed tier for just emergency situations, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you. And so we have to judge basically the team. So I feel like Lance is the type of player who shot himself in the foot and still tried to run the marathon, and sometimes succeeded, right? He sometimes succeeded because he's that good.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
why does he have to shoot himself in the foot in the first place?
Yeah, he kind
Now,
of does this
put
every season, I think. Like, I remember last season, his first pick was Iron Hands. Like, who drafts a
yeah,
14-point mon for their first pick? And they were only, like, 7th pick, I
yeah.
think. Like, they did have plenty of really good options left.
If I was in
Um,
his position, I would be top one from the bottom of the league. There is no way I can make this work.
yeah, I think I would extraordinarily struggle as well. I think this is also going to be a D tier team for me. Um, if
I
if it
I put
wasn't
it
for
as C.
you put it as
I
C,
put Yeah, and let me explain the reason for it.
yeah,
I still see a lot of synergies. Like I still see a lot
yeah,
of synergies. I see the trick room, you know. I see like the defensive core. I see the pivoting and a lot of supporting mods. There are
yeah,
huge
I can see
weaknesses, but
that.
I see the synergies that he can definitely pull it up. And this is what I'm missing a little bit from Nick's team. So personally, I think it's a C team.
I definitely think it's better
It
than
doesn't mean,
Nyx.
yeah, it doesn't mean Lance is not going to do great because he's that good of a player, right?
Yeah.
But
Um.
imagine someone else piloting this team. This is going to be
Yeah.
a nightmare, huh?
I also want to point out while Nick's team had like 4 rockers and only 2 spikers, Lance's team only has 2 rockers, and to be honest, neither of them want to be bringing it every week. Like both
Yeah,
of
but he's
them,
probably going to win one, so
yeah. Like both, I imagine both will come to most games. Like I can imagine both coming to like 6 out of the 8 weeks individually. But depending on the weeks and the matchup, I can see there'll be times where you don't want either of them to be running it. And again, no spikers at all is unfortunate.
yeah, that's true. So can you do you agree with me? Are you going to rank it at C or
I
should
definitely
you rank
agree
it?
it's better than Nyx. I think we'll put it in C for now to have a baseline, but I might move it down
Mm,
to D a little bit later.
okay, fair
Let's
enough.
move on to Ziggy's team. Sydney, this is 7th pick, Sydney Swanna, also known as Ziggy or Bailey. I don't know who calls him Bailey. Actually, his family, but still. Now, starting off really goddamn well, Terror Raging Bolt, another monster just like Dusk. No, oh my god, what? King Gambit. I had a complete blank on its name. Yeah, that's already an amazing start. Then he got lucky enough to get the round 2 Darkrai, which is honestly insane.
That's such a steal.
Yeah,
Like,
I know, right?
definitely he managed to.
Bringing some great speed there as well, and just good coverage all around. Lando T, which is always a very diverse Pokemon to say the least. Quackavole for spin, as well as Aqua Step, Moxie shenaniganry. Klefki for the utility that we know our big man Leafy here loves.
Yeah, I'm so jealous he got it, but you know,
Hey, you got Grimmsnarl, you'll be right.
yeah.
Then he followed up with Ogerpon. I don't know how much I rate Ogerpon regular, but it was only 11 points, so I guess I can't be too mad at it.
Yeah, you have to be like we're starting to talk about sixth pick, right? So like those are like the roundup picks.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
Mew is pretty solid all-roundamon as well. Galarian Weezing. Now, he actually traded for this during Grace. I don't remember what he got prior to this,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not
Amazing
a fan
pick.
of Geezing, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm
It
not
does
a...
provide a lot of utility, right? It does
Yeah,
provide
it's very much
defog, it
utility
provides,
mon.
yeah, like
I'm just not a
neutralizing
utility
gas
player.
or. Mm, I see.
The Dirge though, I do rate the Dirge.
Yeah.
With Unaware and Torch Song, and like Unaware slack off Torch Song bulky sets can be pretty fucking annoying to deal with.
Definitely.
And then we got Terra Obama Snow. This thing's never coming ever.
I have no idea what he's what he's cooking there.
Yeah,
I
I
have
don't know.
no
I
idea.
don't know either, Chief.
I think he has too much of his first name to drink or something like this because this Ubermusno does not belong in this team. But this is the last pick, so maybe we'll disregard this one. If you look
Yeah,
at the overall balance of the team, I think you have a little bit of everything, which is good,
yeah,
right?
definitely.
A lot of utility, a
Yeah,
lot of
he's always
momentum
been a bit of a
generation.
utility player, I think. In
Yeah.
saying that, there's not a lot of walls, I feel. His only real walls are Skeleturge and Weezing. And Weezing, I don't feel like is an amazing wall. It's more focused on utility than just straight up bulk, you know what I mean?
Yeah, his team is more on the offensive side, but you have to imagine that with this much momentum generation, he will often have the time to U-turn out,
Yeah, he
for example,
definitely...
or use like Intimidate from Landorus. So like basically he has like he can play around this momentum to counterbalance the slightly weaker defensive
Yeah,
aspect of his team.
that's fair. What is it that Ash said that one time? The best defense is a good offense? Ziggy definitely took that
Yeah,
lesson to heart.
yeah, definitely, and you can see it. It shows.
Yeah,
So honestly, it's difficult to criticize this team. I'm gonna be honest. It's very
I
difficult to
agree.
criticize this team. I mean, of course, there is a nice weakness, but the only thing I put is Jack of all trades and Master of none, meaning that his team is very well rounded, but it does lack a little bit of it doesn't have like the best speed tier. It doesn't have like the best wall breaker. It doesn't have the best setup sweepers. He has good in everywhere, and I feel like sometimes he would struggle to find a plan to win.
Yeah,
With that being said, it's this team is amazing.
yeah.
This team is honestly amazing. I'll trade his team for mine any day of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on the camp of putting it I think below mine in A. What are your thoughts?
I don't agree with you.
You
I think
don't?
this is an S tier.
You think it's
Yeah,
S?
yeah. I think we have an example of an S tier here. I don't see anything really particularly lacking here.
I think
It's a
I
great
think a big
team.
thing for me is my hatred of Landorus.
Okay, I know I have one argument that will fully convince you,
Okay, let's
but I
hear
know,
it.
but it's not a very fair one.
Is it because it's got Klefki?
No, no, no. It is an S tier team because in such way, Ziggy won't have any excuses when he loses against me.
You know what? You son of a bitch, you're right. I'm
Yeah,
in.
that's an S tier, right? Perfect.
Hang on.
Okay.
Where did actually put this team? I'm curious.
He put A plus.
Put A
He put
plus.
A plus, but he didn't put any S team. He put it in first.
Right. Okay, that's fair enough then. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
I'm happy with S. I definitely think it's good.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on then. Hose Peak Deoxys. Now, this is another B-Div player who didn't actually win, but considering the fact that they've come second place in like 4 of the 5
Yeah.
bloody
He belongs in A.
B-Divs,
Like
and
the sheer consistency
yeah, basically.
of Josh.
In saying
He
that, I
belongs in
hate his
A.
draft this season. So he starts off really fast with a DOD and Cinderace pairing. Hell, even Keldeo. His first 3 picks, I really like them overall. They all bring massive amounts of speed and power, I think.
Yeah.
And of course, Deoxys is also a great hazard setter if you don't want to use it as a sweeper, considering he already has both of them. Then Florges, I think, is fairly decent. It's got good power and very good special bulk. Then backing that up into a really physically bulky mon, I think he did well with those 2 back to back. Florges can end up being a little bit too passive, though, I've found.
I think that's the same for his overall defensive core. I think Skarmory is also quite passive in general.
Yeah. If these 2 had U-turn, they'd be absolutely busted, I think. But just how they end up being, they rely on... Well, Florges will usually just be an annoying shit with, like, Protect Wish, Moonblast,
Pass,
and...
maybe. Oh, I don't know if it has Baton Pass, no? I forgot to put it. Maybe not, actually.
I don't think so. Maybe.
I think he lost it. It lost it. It used to have it, I believe.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Florges is good special wall, but it feels like once you're in and walling it, especially if it's something that isn't weak to fairy, like stab Moonblast, it can end up kind of just feeling like it does nothing.
Yeah.
Skarmory doesn't have as much of that issue, as it's, got hazards in Whirlwind and Iron Defense body press sets. Like Skarmory can do a lot more than Florges, I feel.
Yeah, that's true.
Moving down, he's got a really good breaker in Terra Haxorus. A bloody DD Terra Dragon Outrage can just run through a team. It's a fucking sick mon to do. There's also the more sensible, like, Terra Steel defensive version, but that's a lot less fun in my opinion.
Yeah, but no, it's a great Terra Captain, I would say here.
Yeah. Down into Swampert. Swampert is always a very good mon. Kind of a
Rocks, flip turn, and then a little bit of utility with knockoff, whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of like what you said with Ziggy Team. It's not a master of anything, but it can kind of do anything well if you train it to do that thing, right?
Which is not a bad thing to have a Swiss knife in your
Exactly right.
It's
always good to
in
have
your draft, right?
Yeah.
The issue I have with Ziggy is everything seemed a little bit like a Swiss knife.
Yeah.
And I like sometimes to have some mods that are very strong at that one particular thing. When I want a wall breaker, I want like a goddamn wall breaker. Like I want something that destroy everything in its path.
Absolutely.
Such as Haxorus.
Yeah, I was gonna say such as our boy Haxorus here.
Or the Hoopa as well. Hoopa as well can be very threatening.
I like that both his breakers are Terramon. And they both have enough bulk that you can train them to live things as well if you want them to.
That's true.
I will say though, I don't rate Decidueye. I don't know what bro does. It gets defog.
It does have defog.
Nice.
It has defog, U-turn, and knockoff, I believe. Like those, so it does provide a little bit of utility.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, it's
yeah,
it's a spin bulker, I guess.
Yeah, I'll say I don't know how much I rate Decid.
Yeah.
Muck's a pretty cool dude. I can't remember the last time I genuinely just saw regular Muck instead of his Alolan, but it's always good to have at least a poison type to remove toxic spikes, as well as setting your own is nice. I don't think it'll come to many games though, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither.
The Dun is a fucking meme, and it's funny with Serene Grace Body Slam bullshit.
Yeah. Maybe it will come. Knowing Josh, it will come one day.
And then Electros. I don't know what Electros does, to be honest.
I think it has knockoff or switch, and it's just an overall okay pivot.
Yeah,
Not a great one, but
that's me. Like I know it has
okay.
those, but I feel like it doesn't even get a chance to use them. It's kind
Oh,
of just too slow, not bulky enough, but also not powerful enough anymore.
yeah, that's true.
It's kind of okay. We were talking about the Swiss Army knife with Swampert. Electros is like Swampert, but not good.
Yeah,
That's
I
honestly the
agree with
best
you.
way I can put it.
Yeah. So overall, very strong utility.
Yes,
Good
definitely.
speed tiers, especially with this 180 Deoxys
Yeah,
speed.
these first three mods really do take care of all his speed
The hazard
requirements.
removal is a little bit, iffy. I mean, he does have code change, which can sometimes
Shenaniganry.
be, yeah, it prevents playing fully like the hazard game as well, right? Because
Yeah.
then they can be on both sides of the field, right? Uh, with that being said, I think the main criticism that actually has, and so do I, is that the defensive side of it is very, very passive. So he's going to struggle, like every time he has to switch to a defensive mount, he's going to struggle to regain momentum.
Yeah, I agree.
And momentum is what is going to make his breaker shine.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tricky.
Yeah.
Like,
I definitely think he's going to struggle this season more than most. It's also
for this
probably
one.
worth noting that he has the lowest average for his first 6 months, which is also not really a great sign in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. He prioritized mon that may not did not need to be prioritized as much probably. And he
Yeah,
spread his team a lot.
Forgist and Skarmory were probably too early.
But this is definitely not the worst team I've seen.
No.
So how do you think it fares here?
Um, I think it's honestly, I think it's probably second bot from the bottom so far. I think it's I think due to the passivity of its defensive core,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna put it like where's there? I think it should just go there to be honest. I think it's a pretty mid team all around with I
I
what do you think it goes?
I huh. I agree with the overall ranking. I definitely this is where I see it. I think it lacks less of a of an idea of a synergy. So just because of this, I would prefer to put it bottom of C tier.
Bottom of C. I can accept that, yeah.
But I can also accept it as top of D tier. Like this is basically the same, right?
Yeah, that's
A
fair.
little bit of both. So I personally put it in C. Uh, I actually put it in C, but he didn't use the D tier.
Yeah, he's kind of using a
So
smaller scale than we are.
yeah, I don't know why. Maybe he's because he likes being, Switzerland
He likes
in
being
Sweden.
Switzerland.
Yeah, he likes being neutral. So, everything is B and then you have B plus and B minus.
Yeah, that's
That's
fair.
basically it. No, but we have a little bit more guts, right? So
Yeah,
we're going to use the full scale.
yeah,
So I'm okay with either.
yeah.
Either bottom of C or top of D tier, I think it's okay.
I say we leave it at top of D for now. We can move it up to C
Ah,
later.
okay.
Moving
Next
on,
one.
we're now past the halfway point. This took
Yeah.
longer than expected. Manchespin City, one of our brand new players. Am shocked it took us this long to get to one of them. This is Zeus. He's a cool dude from other servers. Moving to his actual team though. Tornadus Therian is a very good mon. The only issue is it should have been his Terra Captain, not whatever Gengar and Heracross are doing. It should have been Tornadus, absolutely. With Terra Flying, it's a beast. With other defensive Terra typings, it's a defensive beast. Taunty is just way too good of a mon for you to not use it as your Terra, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But it's still very good, obviously, just kind of a waste. Gouging Fire. Gouging Fire is a very cool dude. It won Davis his last championship. Very nice. Sylveon was picked far too early, but it's a cool dude as well. I don't know why they went for a 7-pointer round 3.
I have no
Um,
idea.
yeah, I don't know. But
Mm.
I remember talking to him about it, and he said he definitely misprioritized and should have gotten it later. So at least he learned his lesson, I suppose.
Yeah, it is difficult. And this 16 team draft is a little bit different.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mm,
Donphan is a cool dude as well. It probably came a little bit early, but I'm pretty sure around the 4-5 mark is where a lot of people were grabbing their spinners, so he probably felt
yeah,
pressured
it's
into it.
okay. This one is okay,
Yeah,
I would say.
Kyurem is a great mon to get in round
Yeah,
5, to be honest.
yeah, and definitely complements his team quite well.
Yeah, having the offensive core of
Mm,
Taunty, Gouting Fire, and Kyurem is really awesome, I think.
it is, for sure.
Except for their rock weakness, which you'll find out about in week 2, shall we say.
Yeah, don't
Empoleon.
spoil, but yeah, for sure.
Empoleon is another cool dude, although
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's kind of underwhelming in most regards. I think it's kind of like Electros, but better, where it's like it is a jack of all traits, but it's also not great at a lot of them, I feel.
Yeah, I agree. It used to be so good with Defog, but it lost it, and though it did get buffed with the competitive no now, which is
Yeah, having
sometimes can find
competitive
its
is really
value,
nice for it.
right? But I agree with you. It's overall on the weaker side.
Yeah.
Gengar
Gengar.
Terra. Wow, that's a
It's
bold choice.
Yeah, I say it's definitely an interesting choice. Not one I've actually seen used
Yeah.
anywhere at any time ever.
hmm I agree with you.
Gengar is of course a good Pokemon, but for a Terramon, I feel like you usually want either a lot more power and speed or a lot more bulk. Where
Yeah.
Gengar has
hmm
just kind of been power crept at this point, where sure it's fast, but it's also not crazy fast anymore. Like you generally want Mons faster than Gengar to be coming every week, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even
And
power wise,
since it lost the Levitate,
yeah, especially
it has
losing
become much
Levitate,
much more worse.
yeah. Um, and even 130 special attack, it's good, but in this age, it's a little bit power crept,
Mm,
which is reflected in its point value. So I can probably see like Terra Ghost Gengar hitting pretty hard, but I don't know how worth it'll be as a Terra for a lot of the season. If you know what I
yeah,
mean?
I agree with you. Mm. It's definitely one of the weaknesses of his team, which is very easy to change. I feel like
Yeah,
his Terra captains are not well chosen.
I
I would have
definitely
gone
agree.
for one of the higher priority mon. I don't know if they are Terra ban or what, but can you have like Terra Tornadusty or
Yeah, he can
Gunjing
have
Fire? Like, is
He
it?
can have Taunt. I'm pretty sure Taunt costs 19 with Terra. So he only is able to do a 6 point Terra mod after
Mhm.
that is the issue. Um
Yeah, but to be fair, Taunty Terra is such a threat.
yeah,
Would have been
absolutely.
much more interesting.
It's definitely the way
Okay,
more threatening than Gengar
mm,
and Heracross combined.
for sure. And
Motom
and
exists as well. I don't have much to say about Motom to be honest.
I just realized this is very Gen 3, Gen 4 team, right? If we remove Gouging Fire. Everything is below Gen
Uh
4, almost.
I'd say it very much is a Gen 5 team, actually. I mean, Taunty, uh,
Oh, Gen 5, sorry. Yeah.
yeah, Kyurem, Empoleon, Gengar was beast back then. Heracross was
Yeah.
good back then. Tita was like the single
Yeah, the
best
goat.
Pokemon, basically.
Mm,
Um, yeah, only differences are Sylveon and Gouting Fire, really.
Yeah. Guitar is very interesting. I don't
It
know if he
actually,
sniped this one or.
in saying that, it actually kind of reminds me of Josh's team from last season of B
Mhm,
Division, where
That's
it
true.
always just reminded me of like a Gen 6 OU team, basically.
Mm,
This reminds me a lot of a Gen 5 team.
Yeah, I agree. And then there's
Um,
Komala the spinner, 1 point. It's always good, a good pick
yeah,
for
it's a
1 point.
solid spinner for one
Mm,
point
mm.
as well. You could definitely do a lot
Okay.
worse. I do want to point out though the amount of knockoff users this man has, and even in momentum, he just has a fuck ton
Yeah.
of it.
The priority. Yeah, for sure. Like you're not keeping your items with him, huh? He's going to
No.
use a lot of
Say
disruptions. He
he
will
can
have
literally
like
just run like a full 6-mon team all having knockoff and it will not even be bad.
yeah, it can be quite funny. And he does have good hazard control and hazard removal.
Yeah,
So it's
having two
this is
usable
one of the
spinners.
strategy, right?
Yeah, definitely.
With that being said,
I think I want to put this
I
above
have to put
Lance's.
yeah, but we have to point out before we conclude why we don't put it higher. The speed tier, like he's
Yeah,
missing
definitely.
benchmarks. Like he's missing benchmarks,
He's
like the
missing that
100 speed tier.
100 speed tier, which is a
Yes,
big deal, I think.
yeah, and he doesn't have very fast mounts in general, so this is
Yeah,
lacking a little bit. It's not the end of the world. It's definitely okay, but
yeah.
he will struggle against some of his opponents.
Yeah. I also once again want to point out it
The rocks.
really should be Terra.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I just think it's a huge difference in the quality overall of the team.
I think you put it Terra, it gains one one full grade,
Honestly,
one full
yeah,
rank.
definitely.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you put it where?
I definitely think it's better than Lance's. I'm deciding whether to put it in
Yeah,
B or C though. What do you think?
I'm okay bottom of B. I think it's okay if we have like a large number of team here. We'll see
Yeah.
later on.
All right. Easy done then.
Next one. Oh, the
Your
got it there.
team, Mr. Paris Leafeons himself.
Wow. I want to have the full names right. I put like a lot
Oh,
of
okay.
nicknames
We
here.
got the whole
Come on.
squad. We got Bacchus, Leafy, the real Gabby, the Goat, and Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, thanks, man. I'll go over my team.
Yeah, feel
Like
free.
such an amazing pick, and actually said he was very afraid that I took Zapdos to round 2, which I can understand. So Iron Trade Zapdos, really like defensive core, and then I started looking at the offensive side with Iron Bundle. Latias, I always had my eyes on Iron Boulder.
Yeah, the
This was the mod
Boulder
that I
is a
really wanted to
beast.
have as a breaker. And then Grimslant to put a little bit of utility, Chestnut. Talonflame because I like having a little bit of defog, and then I put just like random one, honestly, to to wrap up. So I don't unmug because I needed a little bit more speed def. Ditto because just fuck Ditto, right? This is such an annoying mon to
I
prep
want to know
against
why
if you have a
Ditto's
lot of
3
setup
points
sweepers.
though. Normally Ditto's a
Yeah,
1 point mon in most leagues.
and I took Avalok as well, just because sometimes I may need this kind of very physical wall,
Yeah,
which
no.
I'm also don't have. So those mons probably will almost never see the light of day, but maybe
Yeah.
every now and then I will bring one of them.
Yeah, I do think
Uh,
having a Alolan Muck and Avalog is actually a pretty solid defensive core. Like they both bring more than just defense. Obviously Avalog brings the rapid spin. It also and then Muck brings knockoff toxic spikes, toxic itself, poison touch, any of its physical moves. Like I
mhm.
think overall they bring a lot to the team, as well as parting shot, which is probably worth noting on Alolan Muck. Like these four low tier picks, I think these are pretty solid defensive options for low to mid tier picks.
Mm. And if you look at it, my hazard game is weak. I would say my hazard game is weak.
Yeah,
Uh,
only
Iron
having
Treads is
one of
definitely,
each.
yeah, basically it. I do control it quite well on my side. I think I'm not really threatened by it. It's
Yeah,
just
I
that I don't
agree.
really like if I really need stealth work, then I only have that one option. Iron Boulder doesn't get it, right? So that's
Yeah, which is
definitely
kind of
something that
weird to be
I have
honest.
to keep in mind. Yeah. I'll think about this if I need to make a change, but as of now, this is what I have.
Yeah,
But this is not what I drafted the team for, right? I have some utilities like screens and like healing moves, a little bit of priority, but everything was drafted around momentum
yeah, you
on
can
this team.
definitely see that. You have a lot of momentum
Yeah,
across the team.
like every mon has a prankster parrying shot, flip turn, full switch U-turn. Like I have a lot of this, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and
Also,
then
question:
you have
Does
this breaker.
does Latias
Yeah.
get flip turn? I think Latios does. Does Latias?
Larios, not Larios. Larios doesn't get it.
Man, only Latios does. Why not both? They're a pair, man.
Yeah, because Larios is more on the offensive side. That's it. And this is why I called my Larios Budget Latios, if you
Yeah,
remember the
that's
nickname.
very true.
Okay, so great speed tier, for sure. I think it's
Yeah,
a very
I
difficult
definitely think so. I
team
mean,
to either outspeed or
136,
yeah.
126, 124, 110, 106, 100. Literally, like, you can build a full team of Mons over base 100, I think. 3, 4. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can have a full team of Mons over base 100, or
Mm,
at or above base 100,
yeah.
which is
But
a
this is what I was
very.
telling you.
Yeah.
My team is built around momentum, so
Yeah.
it is supposed to work in this one.
But
So it's going
there's.
to pivot and all
Yeah.
of this.
There is a bit of a flaw between that, though, because
Mm.
after 100, it drops all the way down to Chestnut 64,
Yes, yes.
which allows, like, it just allows a lot
Come
of
on,
mons
Suran.
to
Yeah.
be like, oh, well, I'm not going to outspeed most of his team. Just go adamant max attack, no speed. It just allows your
Yeah,
opponents to go more attack, more bulk as well. Like, they'll
yeah, it's
almost
especially
never
like
be
the
on
slower
speed.
starter, like the Hisian Simrat, the Incineroar, like those kind of
Exactly
mons that
right.
are like a 80 or 85 benchmark. That's definitely one of the weakness here.
Exactly
I mean, the
right.
only weakness in terms of speed here. Okay,
Yeah.
with that being said, I'm very biased, so it's difficult to judge my team, but I do believe this team is faring quite well, like very
Yeah,
well.
I I definitely think it's pretty solid. I do think it's worse than mine. It's what's I'm gonna say I think it's probably worse than Mez's as well. I think. Maybe between Mez and Sean.
Wow, you're going down the rabbit hole. Wow.
Whereabouts do you
I
think
would
he placed?
I would put it down bottom of 8 here. I think it's an 8 here. I think it is an 8 year team. I think
Hmm.
the momentum generation is so good on this team that it can definitely be very, very difficult and tricky to fight against.
Hmm. I
But I also ranked Mess team as A team.
yeah, that's fair. I'm okay with moving both
So
of
we're
you up to
bumping,
A. I
yeah.
think.
Okay, this one is fine. I actually put it in A, so.
Yeah. Well, that's
Mhm.
reassuring.
Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Yup. We're missing a team.
Oh,
That goes from 10 to
are we?
11. Hang on a minute. Did I. No, hang on. It just goes from 10 to 11. Sorry, from 9 to 11, but there's no skip team. Hang on, then there's Grey. Yeah.
Did I?
Warpig. Beware. Actually.
Oh no, no, it's because my pick order is 10. I just
Yep. There's two nines. Okay.
uh okay. Whoops.
Yeah, I'll say I was just like
Okay.
having a heart attack. I'm like, wait a
Yeah.
minute, please don't tell me we just forgot someone's team. That'd be really embarrassing.
That's true. Let's
Oh
get
god.
to
All right, next up
oh
we have Big Arms Boy. He is another one of our new players. Joining us over from GPA, and his team is really weird in my opinion.
yeah, that's definitely
Starting
one that
off,
we need to study a bit to understand.
yeah, starting
Mm.
off with a really good mon in Urshifu Single Strike Terror. This thing is gonna be a fucking menace. Moving on down to Latios, which is pretty solid still. And Slowking as a defensive option alongside Mandibuzz. These two are both pretty good in having really good defense, but having a lot of momentum as well, having Chiller Reception and U-Turn respectively.
Mm, mm,
The
for
thing is,
sure.
I don't know what the fuck not Mandy. I don't know what the fuck Pheasant Dippity does. Just in general. The only time I've ever seen this thing used is in like Toxic Chain beat up bullshit.
Yeah, I think that's basically what it does, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's it's here to spread poison status, and that's basically it. And then
Yeah.
you have a little bit of beat up, maybe, or
I think for a round 5 Pokemon, it's pretty shit.
yeah, I
Like,
agree.
if you want to get
But
it in like round 8, you know what? Fair enough. I'm not going to have a problem with that. I don't
mm,
really know what this thing does properly, but just getting it round 5 is definitely far too early, no matter what, for an 8-point mon, I think.
yeah, but he managed to get the Greninja, so
Yes. So he ended up getting Greninja as a late pick,
yeah.
which, I mean, is nice, but probably just should have gotten it up here, to be honest. No one was
Yeah,
going to
for sure.
snipe your Pheasant Dippity or Doug Trio in that time. And speaking of Dog Trio, why is this his Terramon?
Uh, I think this one is just because he was like based on the first Terra, which is 17 points, that he could only go 8 points on lower.
Which is true, but
So
I feel like Terra Clodsire as a defensive option would have been a lot better than whatever Dugtrio will do.
yeah, for sure. I agree with you. Like a
Um,
fairy Fire could be very interesting.
yeah, because that was,
Mm,
that was one of the key mons for Davis to win last season was his Terra defensive
yeah,
Clodsire.
yes, for sure.
Yeah. Then moving down to Fortress for just general hazard gaming. It has every
Yeah,
hazard and spin. It's just a hazard mon, full stop, basically.
exactly.
Arcanine is a cool dude. I don't know how useful though. I think it will be on this style of team. I feel like it's gonna be running some like weird burn up
Mm.
shenaniganry.
Could
Just
be, could be. You can have like some defensive with Intimidate and Will-O-Wisp options, right?
yeah, I think
It's
it'll be a
no
more
Pokemon.
like utility focused Arcanine, and that's why
Yeah.
I probably should have elaborated. By burn up, I don't mean offensive. I mean like getting rid of its like
Ah,
fire
okay, I see it.
typing to be a
Mm,
more shenanigan focused. Just based on the way
yeah,
this team is, he likes his shenanigans. I assume.
for sure.
Also, you don't draft Belly Bolt if you don't like shenaniganry.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
also don't know what his Suhian Sidgewai is doing on this team, though, I will say.
Me there, but it provides another
Yeah.
defogger and
No, yeah. Defog.
interesting.
Which I guess is what it's here for. I
Mm,
will say, though, a lot of his basically all of his hazards come down to Clodsire and Fortress, because you really don't want Greninja to be running Toxic Spikes or Spikes. And
yeah, for sure.
Dugtrio, I mean, it can run rocks, but you're probably not gonna be running rocks on it.
Yeah, that's very true. With that being said, like it's good that he has the options, right? Maybe it will come
Yeah.
up one day. And on top of this, he has a lot of utilities, a lot of
Yeah,
priorities,
so much
supporting
healing
move,
on this
right?
team, so much priority, and even a lot of momentum. I mean, what's that?
Yeah.
That's four, five, six,
Mm,
seven, eight, nine Pokemon with utility with
yeah,
momentum is really nice for a team, even if they are overlapping a little bit. But you know,
yeah, that's basically it. And his overall speed tier is okay-ish. Like there's a little bit lacking on the fastest side, but it's okay. Like it's not
let's
bad.
see, 122, 120, 110, 99,
Nature, yeah,
97, 80. There's also Arcanine's 95 that I missed. I think
it's okay. It's good.
I think it's
Good enough.
okay, yeah. There is
Mm,
another pretty big drop off from 90 down to 60 though, I
60.
feel.
Yeah,
And even then, you're
which
never
it
going to
has
be
the same
running
issue at the
speed
end.
on Mandibuzz.
Mm,
Like, so you this is the thing that I've been learning a little bit more lately. For defensive Pokemon like Mandibuzz, really, as long as you like outspeed no speed Mandibuzz, or you go like
mhm.
one over no speed Mandibuzz, I feel like that's all
Yeah.
you ever really need. So
Don't say that. People will know how to prepare against you.
that's fair. That's fair.
Mm.
Um,
Okay, so how do you think it fares up against the other team? For me,
I say I
it,
don't
it, it
like
has
it.
good potential. It has good potential, but I also believe it's quite a tricky team to
Yeah,
pilot.
I'm not gonna lie. I
Like
don't like it.
like having those kind of it's tricky.
Yeah, I definitely. I'm deciding whether I think it's better or worse than Lance. I think it might be a little bit worse than Lance. No, maybe I think it's a little bit better actually. I think
I
it
think for me
has.
it's mostly equivalent, maybe a little bit better.
I think it might be a
Yeah, I
tiny
think it's
bit
a bit better.
better. Cause
Yeah.
in terms of like overall team, I think it's pretty similar. But what I think Albie's team does a little bit better is more all round
Mm,
utility and the amount
yeah.
of healing and momentum and priority. I think it just has more of everything.
Yeah, that's true. That's
So
really
I think
true.
it's like I think it's similar to play, but with a lot more utility to it. So I'm gonna put it at the top of C for right now.
Okay, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Two
moving
more teams.
on then. We have the man himself, Nanjing Nidoking, Gray, the king himself. Uh
Yeah,
he
that's
he struggled quite a bit with his draft this one. He started off really well with Meowscarada being the speed demon it is, following into Enamorous Incarnate Terra, which is a goddamn menace in my opinion. Terra Stella with this thing's move pool and like Calm Mind is just kind of incredibly threatening.
Yeah.
Especially with its speed tier as well. Kind of the same goes for Ursaluna. It's just kind of a fucking menace.
I mean, he has so many menace.
Yeah,
Annihilate
yeah.
is
That's
what
kind of just how I describe this team. It's just kind of a team of
Ogapon.
menaces.
Like what the hell? Like
Like yeah,
everything is a menace,
literally
and
the
he
only
has
thing
like
that aren't menaces in my opinion is Alola Tails, which just brings Aurora Veil, which is incredible on
yeah.
a team with like
Let me
SD Ogapon, Calm
mhm.
Mind Enamorus, Bulk Up
Bulk up.
Annihilate, Dragon
Yeah.
Dance Salamence, Shell Smash Blastoise. Like on it, they're all so good when you have screens up, right? And of course,
Yeah.
Aurora Veil is just the best screen there is.
And Protean, Meowscarada, who provides a lot of, offensive threats or checks and
Yeah,
provides utilities and everything. That's a very, very well-rounded team. Very good speed tier as well. Like this one
yeah,
is hitting a lot of the marks that we're expecting to have. A little bit of momentum. It's not the best, but it's okay. A lot of offensive threats. Uh, a little bit limited on the hazard control with only one spinner in
yeah.
Blastoise.
Having only
It's a good one.
Blastoise isn't fantastic, but it's solid enough that it can be a reliable spinner.
Yeah.
And
Yes, I
unlike a lot
agree.
of the other solo spinners, I feel like Blastoise is one of the kinds of Pokemon where it kind of does usually want to run spin anyway.
Mm-mm. For sure.
I feel like it won't run into many scenarios where it doesn't want to run it because of move pool issues.
Mm.
Um, Overall, I
And
think
then,
this is
yeah,
definitely one of the best teams that came out of this season.
I agree with you. Definitely on this one. Um, Not much to add on this one.
Yeah, not really, huh?
So now the question is, where do you rank it?
I think it's probably better than my team, to be honest. I'm
It
deciding whether
is.
to put it at the bottom of S or the top of A. What do you think?
I think we are one tier above with Gray.
Yeah,
I think it's our second example of an S tier team
yep, I think that's
on this
definitely
one.
reasonable to say.
The, he has so many mons that are so threatening.
Yeah, you kind of never have a
And
free turn when there's all these
yeah,
menaces on the screen. Like, if you're not careful, something's just gonna get annihilated.
mm-hmm, for sure.
And also you have a one other thing before we move on. Ape is such an annoying, funny Pokemon because it always just allows you to prevent your opponent from wanting to U-turn, because that you can just easily power up your enemy at any time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then it's going to be like a nightmare for your enemies to deal with it.
Exactly right. Anyway, moving down to I moved 2 slots to our second Bewear. Actually, we have a new Bewear, guys. Yes, Royal Bewear Force as Warpig. His team is another 12-mon weird nightmare, in my opinion. Terra Blaziken is an absolute terror to be around ever, just in general. It's terrifying. Corviknight, Tinglu, and Alomomola then make up a pretty damn good defensive trilogy, I feel. Having, flip turn,
U-turn, defog, all of them have like I
like,
mean
yeah,
no
they
sorry
all have
the Roost of
momentum.
Covenant, Regenerator on Momola,
Yeah, they
like
all have momentum, and two of them
mhm.
have healing, and yeah, it's just very
Yeah,
good. Terra Jolteon is probably. Wait, why
it's
did
a
he not
good
go
one
Terra Superior?
because Terra Superior is like you get attacks on it, like it goes up to 12 points, I believe.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
That's why you
I just
couldn't
had
do
like
it,
a.
otherwise you would have
Yeah,
been.
you're right.
Yeah.
I'll say I just like kind of went blind with seeing 7 and then the 18. I'm
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, but no, you're right.
No,
That is exactly
he
why.
couldn't. He couldn't. I
Yeah,
mean, this one is night and day if you have Terra.
yeah,
With that being said, if you only have like 7 points and you have to choose one, Jolteon is a very good second Terra
yeah.
captain.
I
I don't think
definitely
it's going
agree
to
with
come
that.
very often, but it's a mon that will definitely be able to abuse it, like being, for example, Bolt Beam combination. That's an amazing mon
Yeah, Bolt Beam
for
has
this.
been fantastic for
Yeah.
longer than I've played Pokemon. We'll put it that
Yeah.
way.
A- And it has, 110 special attack and access to Calm Mind.
Yeah, it's
So this is
very,
definitely a mod
very
that can,
damn scary. Not to mention the
resist.
130 speed. That's just insanely scary.
Yeah, and now it has also a little bit more coverage with the fairy move. Is it Alluring Voice or something like this?
Yep. Alluring Voice was
So
a very odd addition, I think, but it's definitely good for it.
yeah.
Moving down to Clefable and Pekarant, we run into some more utility-focused mons.
I mean,
Um,
he has a lot of utility focus money. He almost only has it, right?
yeah, that's kind of how a lot of the team feels. Superior is, sub Leech Seed and Contrary sweeping a nightmare of a Pokemon. Thank God it wasn't allowed to Terra. Cleavor for Hazard setting and unfortunately being forced to run Defog probably some of the time. Then Dashbun, I don't even know what this thing does to be honest. And then
He
Blissey and
has like
Hatterene for more
for more
utility.
defensive side. Like, come on, man. Is he like the son of Swan or what?
Yeah, I was gonna say, bro played so much stall. I mean, 8 of his 12 mons have healing capabilities. 7 of them have screen support. Hell, even 7 of them have bloody Baton Pass to swap around
Yeah,
when required. Some of them do have better ones to use, like, these
yeah,
things
yeah.
here, but still.
But then he has like Regenerator. Like he has like okay, so many things.
Yeah, there's just
Uh,
so much going on with this team.
it's and I really like your comment. It's defensive as hell, right?
Yeah,
This team is so
it's
annoying.
very difficult to break, in my opinion.
That is true. However, it's I feel like those kind of stall team are very difficult to pilot in a draft environment where
Yeah,
your opponent is going to prepare like those kind of one-shot combo that will go through your team. And and because of that, I can't rank it this high, right? I
yeah,
can
I
see
agree.
the definitely I can see like the defensive synergies, but this is so difficult to pilot such a stall team in a draft environment where basically your opponent is aware about what you're going to bring and
And
is
they're
able
guaranteed
to
to bring
fine
form.
tune. Yeah, fine tune for things. And if you start taking out a few walls, then suddenly this team looks a lot less scarier.
Yeah, if you have a
And
good wall breaker, you're gonna break through it.
and as much as I love Blaziken Terra, it lacks other mons to provide, chips or whatever, right? He's
Yeah.
basically his only huge offensive threat, right?
Yeah, basically. I mean,
Right.
Blaziken, Alomomola, sorry, Jolteon, then sort of Serp and
So
Kleavor can
yeah,
do something. And then
sorta.
that's basically it for his entire team.
Yeah.
There's nothing else on this team with any kind of offensive pressure.
Yes. So because of that, I have to rank it a little bit lower. So
Yeah.
it might be controversial, but I don't know if you're going to pull up the yeah. It might be controversial, but I see this team as a C tier
C tier?
because
Yeah,
it's
I
such a
agree.
difficult team to pilot.
I definitely agree.
Uh, Maybe he's going to prove me wrong. Maybe he will effortlessly dispose of every opponent he has. I know for sure I wouldn't be able with this team. So based on this, I'm putting it as C.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable to me. Whereabouts do you think
I
it's
put.
C? I'm pretty
I think
unsure.
it's top, I think it's the top of C team. I think
Yeah,
it's still okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can accept that.
You have to. He has the strongest defensive core.
Yeah,
Let's put it this way. So
absolutely. It's
you know
not
you
even
you
close.
have to recognize it, right?
Yeah, it's not even close. Moving
Okay.
on, we have Atletico
Oh,
Bewear, Akshi, also known as just Bear, because I've known him too long and I like bears. Anyway,
yeah.
his team is also a goddamn fucking nightmare. Garchomp, Terrapago, Sneasler, Terra, Zarude, Thunderous. His first 5 picks alone, genuinely, he could bring these to, like, he could bring all 5 of these to every single one of his games and just win. Like, he doesn't even need a 6th mon in a lot of games, I think. That's how
And you
much I
see
think
it
these mons are
on the
incredible.
KPI top one for the top six average, right? His team is so stacked up.
Yeah.
It's for having prepped against it, it's very difficult. You have to tackle each one of them as a single threat.
Yeah.
So definitely a problem. Okay, let's go through it. So you said Garchomp, Terrapago, Sneasler, Zarude,
Yeah.
Thundurus, Incarnate. He does have Metagross, Mesprit for a little bit of utility. Azumarill, which has all like, so some kind of tricky things set, like with Whirlpool, whatever. The
Yeah,
Vileplume,
it can
which
do
is
some
a
dickery.
deceptively tanky one, right?
Yeah. And then
And this Lapras,
Lapras.
who's going to cock block the people that rely on strong water move.
Speaking
Oh,
from experience, there are we?
yeah, for sure.
uh, yeah. So in terms of weaknesses, there's not much.
Yeah,
It has like a mild, very mild weakness to Fairy and Ghost, but like
yeah, I agree.
but even those are not bad weaknesses in my opinion. Like Fairy has Sneasler, Ghost has Zarude.
Yeah.
It's just kind of those are like the only good ones. Oh, and Fairy also has Metagross. My apologies.
Hmm.
And Vileplume. Maybe he's not. Well, I don't even know what Vileplume's gonna do to be honest. I think it's just here to
Yeah,
fill
but
out a spot.
of his core mon, like Garchomp is going to struggle against Fairy, Zarude is going to struggle against Fairy if he has not Terra yet, right?
Yeah,
Then Sneasler is neutral, but definitely doesn't want to tank too much hits on it. So
exactly right. It's too
for
frail.
sure, the fairy moves are going to be tricky for him to switch into. Yes, and he has, I would say, good momentum. Terrapagos is his only hazard removal, which Terrapagos is a good mon for it, but it also prevents him from going through like those kind of Calm Mind or Store Powered, whatever shenanigans you want to go for with
Yeah,
Terrapagos. But yeah, what a fantastic team,
yeah.
honestly.
So we're in
It's
agreement that this is the top of top of S, right?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's
Yeah,
the
it's
team that I
just
prefer
the
here.
best team. Full stop. To be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just insane, man. This is if like every time Bears played, he comes like somewhere between first and third, but then he always
Mhm.
flounders in playoffs. And if he does that with this team, then maybe bro's just washed.
No, but
uh,
what an amazing drafter. He's such a
yeah,
good
insane draft,
uh,
absolutely
yeah, okay.
terrifying. And to think he's in like a pretty not good draft slot in 14th as well.
Yeah, that's amazing actually. He was able to get this, right?
Yeah, I
So
know,
he
right?
did have like a quasi will pick, so anyways.
Yeah. All right, moving to our 15th pick, we have the Zigzagoon Goon group. This is Beyond's team, and we have now got two bears and two
Before
Zigzagoons.
before you move on to this, can we talk about the team icon? Like
Yes, this is beautiful.
I saw someone trolled on this one.
Yeah, this
But
this is
damn.
beautiful.
Okay, damn.
It
Okay.
reminds me of Nick's, where it's just a meme. I got your nose. It's brilliant.
Yeah, right. So,
uh, it's so good.
back to this one. Okay.
Yes, so Beyond is kind of taking a note out of all the other new guys' notes
Mhm.
in drafting very weirdly, in my opinion. Starting with Terra Gliscor at 13. Goldengo at 15 is a bit better, but then it still kind of sticks with the middling tiers. Terra Manaphy
Mhm.
12, Weavile 14, then dropping down even further with Amoonguss and Cyclizar. The issue is though, these things are all fucking menaces. They might be like lower tier menaces, but these things, like, you can never underestimate Manaphy, especially with Terra. It is just terrifying. Terrifying. Anyway. Same with Gliscor, like
It's
between Double
yeah.
Dance and like just SD
Uh,
sets in general, it can be terrifying.
Yeah, for sure. And having the Terra power on top of it is so
Exactly
annoying
right.
to
You
deal
can
with. Like
Terra
this one is
defensively
so
into whatever you
defensive
need.
already. Yeah, for sure. He can have like a Soul's Dance, whatever. So it is definitely a good Terra pick. Uh, he continues working as well on the defensive core because on top of this he has Among Us and Salakizar, two regenerator. Mon.
Yeah,
Rotom
Regenerator
Heat,
and Rapid Spin isn't super
uh,
good.
who helps a lot. He has a little bit of wall breaking with Terrakion.
Yeah, definitely.
He continues on the. I mean, defensively, this team is also crazy good, right? Milotic as well. So like
Yeah,
he's tired of grass, fire, and water. Is
yeah,
extremely good, like extremely solid. Then a little
absolutely.
bit of intimidate. I don't think they will see the light of
I
day
say
very
I don't
often,
think
but a
Gramble's
Grand
ever
Ball,
coming.
yeah,
S-
Hitmonchan can come as a rapid spinner, but
something that I
yeah.
also find funny in the note that I don't think Gramble's ever coming.
Mhm.
It doesn't even cover anything here. Like, it's got no
I think
utility either.
I think it has
Its
wish,
utility is
no?
intimidate. That's all it's got.
Yeah, basically.
And like,
It has
Intimidate's good
Wish.
and all, but is it worth bringing your 4-point
Yeah,
Grand Ball just for Intimidate? Probably
I don't
not.
think so.
Then in my
Okay,
top
so
is a Solid Spinner.
yeah, so it is a defensive team again, and you know that I hated those.
Yeah.
However,
It's
if you
more of a
compare it
bulky
to
offense, I feel.
RB's team, I think it has a lot more weapons on the offensive side, right?
I agree.
It will more easily bring those kind of offensive mon.
Hang on.
Oh,
Technical difficulties.
no worries.
Damn it.
So I'm trying to judge and rank it based on what I've done previously, right?
Yeah.
I like this team a little bit more, is what I'm going to say.
I agree. I think
And
Beyond's team is probably, I think it's the best of the new guys to, with maybe the exception in Zeus.
yeah, Zeus has done like a good job, right? So
Yeah, so in my opinion, it either goes top of C or bottom of B, in my opinion.
I think it's one tier above, so we have to put it B.
Yeah,
For me,
I
we have
think
to
I'm in
put it B.
agreement for B.
It is a good solid draft that
Yep.
maybe did not prioritize as much some of the high priority mon. I think that's the only criticism that I will have on it, but it's overall well rounded.
Yeah. This is one of those times where, even though I think it's deceptively good based on its tiering, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you. Should,
Yeah.
should we move on to the last one?
Yeah, lucky last, Boston Celesteelas, our other B-Div player who came up this season as first seeding. Um,
Yeah, and
Starting
what an
off,
amazing run she had on the previous
yeah,
season.
yeah, it's quite good. Until
Almost went
playoffs anyway.
undefeated during. Yeah, almost went undefeated until playoff.
Yeah.
Almost, I think she only had one loss.
So she started off with Ogerpon Wellspring and Galarian Slowking, which is a really good first pairing. And in my opinion, Ogerpon brings the insane terror and power, and Glowking
Mhm.
brings the bulk and utility that's needed in a lot of cases. So I think she did really well there. Moving down to her second wheel, she got Scizor and Bax. Glowking and Bax being a very well-known pairing of power. And
Yeah.
Sizzle bringing both utility, power, and like just more momentum. Really, it's a very good mon Sizzle. I like the guy a lot. Moving down to the king himself, my one of my favorite Pokemon, Infernape. Super sick mon. Yeah.
Super good lead with like rocks and pivoting options and special
Well,
physical. Like it is something that is very
it's really
interesting
just the
to.
amount of utility that it has.
Yeah,
Well, not
yeah.
utility.
Coverage.
Variety.
Yeah.
Where you can, lead it using, rocks and bullshit, or you can band it, specs it, scarf it, life orb, or mix. Like, there is a lot of different offensive
Mhm.
or utility focused sets. It's one of the most versatile
Yeah.
Pokemon, in my opinion, making it really good for draft. And of course, it has knockoff, it has U-turn, it has Mach Punch and Vacuum Wave. It has. What healing does it have? What the fuck? Does it
I
have
think he has
Slack Off?
back off. That's it.
That's the only one I can imagine it having, especially as a monkey. But I did not realize
Yeah.
that.
And then
Man,
he has like Will-O-Wisp or something like this, right?
yeah, I think it
So
also has Willow. It's just really good all round mon. I highly rate. Moving down to Comfey, it's a bit of a drop off for her sixth pick, but I still really like Comfey. I think it's a little bit
sorry,
underrated.
just to cut you off, he does have slack off, just to confirm.
Oh, sweet. Okay, I did not know that. That's
Okay.
cool to know. Um, yeah, Comfey I think is a really solid round six mon.
Mhm.
Um, I think it's a little bit
Yeah,
underrated in
provide
value.
yeah, and providing like the triage priority is such a good so
Yeah,
good, right?
triage is
And
always brilliant.
I've had my fair share of losses against Comfy, so no, I've learned to not underestimate it.
Yeah.
And then the last of the mods, there are, I would say, good mods, or
Yeah,
little bit,
Crook is
goofy
really
mods.
nice. It's a very common scarf mon, has enough utility as well. As well as intimidate, I'm pretty sure. I might be
Yeah,
wrong. Um,
yeah, it does. And
I'm
then you have
pretty sure it
Reggie.
does, but I might be an idiot.
No, it has Intimidate or Moxie. This is
Yeah,
the
both are
oh
fantastic abilities.
Or you have the very, very situational, meaning you only use it for against one mon. You have a anger point for the Oshifu single strike.
Yeah,
Because
I would
if you
not.
hit him with anger point, then it goes at +6. So,
Yeah, I would not do that as a dark type Pokemon.
yeah, yeah, but you could have imagine if you teared it. Anyways, it's mostly going to be Intimidator Moxie.
Yeah. Regieleki, of
Eh,
course, is speedy as fuck, as
yeah,
well as having spin is
Rapid
nice.
Spin. Yeah.
Terra,
History and the Rock to have a little bit more speed control and some tricky, shenanigans, right?
yeah. Now, I don't know how I feel about Eevee is just here for being cute, is not ever gonna come. But Orthworm and Braviary, I think are very niche picks. I don't know how much use either is gonna have, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I don't know. To be fair, those are lower pick mons, so I wouldn't judge the draft based on this.
Yeah, that's
Maybe I
fair.
would have preferred Comfy to be Terra, but I mean that's just me,
Yeah,
I guess.
that's. Did that have a Terratax? Yeah, its
No,
Terratax was
I
7, meaning it was
that's
one point too
why.
expensive. Yeah, that explains that.
Mm, okay.
Because I was just like, there's no way that
Mm.
Braviary is a better Terramon than Comfey, right? But yeah,
Yeah,
Comfey
that's a weird.
got
Okay.
1 point increase in value for tax. That's unfortunate for her.
Mm.
Um, but
With that being said, yeah.
I do find this team to be really good. Unfortunately, it's gonna be Steeler using it, and that's not gonna end well for her. To be blunt, not an A anyway. But I really like this team. Like with a few exceptions being like the final 4 picks,
Mhm.
I think these top mons are fantastic as a team. Like I think it's really good just all around. I don't have much notes other than I think it's a little bit reliant on setup between SD Ogapon whatever setup variant they're going with Infernape, or whether it's Banded or
Mhm.
Specs, or of course the classic DD or Scale Shot
Yeah,
Backscalber after Glow King stuff, or whatever else. I think it's a little bit reliant on the setup, in my opinion.
I agree. It is relying on setup, and I put it as fire weak. It doesn't have like too many mons that are weak to fire, but it doesn't have any
Yeah,
resist to fire.
the only
Besides
real
Infernape.
resist is
Uh,
Infernape, and then after
that's the only
Terra
one.
Ogapons. Sorry,
Yes,
Ogapon
okay,
Terras.
for sure. But it has to Terra, right? So
Yeah,
it's going to be a little bit tricky sometimes to pilot. With
for
that being
sure.
said, I think this draft is very good,
Yeah.
right? In
I
general,
think this
it
is
covers a lot
definitely
of
going in
things.
A tier. What do you think?
I put it on top of B tier, but I'm okay with the A tier. I'm okay with it. I
Yeah.
think it's definitely, yeah, in between those,
I
so
say
maybe we should put it
I
on the
think this
bottom of
is
A.
just
Yeah.
overall a really
Mm,
really
mm.
solid team. It's just kind of unfortunate in my opinion that it's being run by Steeler. I'm sorry.
No, you shouldn't say this. Maybe she's going to be able to pilot it. It's not. She's still a good drafter and she's progressing a lot.
Yeah, she's definitely improved, but I just don't think she's ready yet for A. But honestly,
She will learn.
yeah, she's gonna find out, and look. She could definitely surprise me with how good her draft is. Like I really rate
Mhm.
it. Um, but yeah, these are our final rankings. I think. Is there anything you think
Yeah,
we should move around? I'm pretty happy with this.
yeah, I'm actually quite happy with it. I think it's we've used all the tiers and we've been painting, I would say, quite a fair, you know,
Yeah,
uh, picture of what we have currently.
feel a little bit bad for Nick, but oh well.
I mean, you have to have a D tier, and
Yeah,
maybe he can roast us when he starts winning against us.
yeah. Well, unfortunately, he's currently leading over me. But he's got 2 better differential.
Dot.
I'm hoping I can
Dot.
overtake him this week though.
Hopefully so.
Yeah. All right. Well, I didn't make a closing tab, so I'm just gonna put his back to the front, I guess. um. Yeah. Do you have any final words?
I'm so excited for this season. So
Yeah.
many people, and yeah, this
It's
is going
definitely
to be
interesting
fun.
having 4 new players in the league. That brings
Yeah,
a lot of unknown in my opinion, which I really think is
yeah,
fun.
a lot of unknowns and maybe some different play style, and we've definitely seen some of it in the first few weeks. So
Yeah,
hopefully,
absolutely.
yeah, hopefully
Yeah.
it will continue this way.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out. And I will see you dudes in the week 1 video, hopefully next week. Bye-bye. Say bye.
Bye.